My name is Elliot. My pronouns are she, they, and I will be the GM.
Hello, my name is Dexter. I was previously in the Dungeons & Drama Nerds Apocalypse World arc. I played as Sydney, and I am here to join in Elliot's run of Blades in the Dark.
My name's Nick. Those of you who listen to Dungeons & Drama Nerds will recognize me as one of the co-hosts of the podcast, and I'm excited to play Blades in the Dark.
Hi all, I am T or Tess, either is fine. I use she or they pronouns, and I was previously also in the Apocalypse World season on season 1, or Apocalypse World arc of season 1, and I'm a player as well.
Hi, I'm Whitney Lehn Meltz. My pronouns are they, them, and I am new to the podcast joining for this campaign of Blades in the Dark.
Hi, I'm Ren, she, her, hers. Also a newbie to this podcast, as well as gameplay in general. So very delighted and excited for all of you seasoned to welcome me here.
And I'll just state Nick again, and my pronouns are he, him.
Before getting into characters, I would like to kind of do a very quick summary of like the world. I don't know how much people have read of the book, so I think it would be helpful just to do a very quick summary to get everyone on the same page, especially for like character building and crew. So we're going to be playing in Duskvol, which is sometimes called Duskwall or just the Dusk. So picture a late industrial mashup between Venice, London, and Prague. Perpetually dark, haunted by ghosts. And about 1,000 years ago, there was a cataclysm. It shattered the earth into the Shattered Isles. In the map that I have put in the Roll20, the sun was banished. There's no sun. It's perpetually dark. And also the gates of death were broken. There's ghosts. It's haunted. So the city is surrounded by lightning towers that try to, they keep these spirits and these horrors out. Those are all out in the Deathlands where people are not living. And so to power them, ships of Leviathan hunters go out and extract this ectoplasmic blood from these massive demonic terrors. So with a whole crime setting, this basically keeps your crew stuck in the city. When the heat is up and you are heavily wanted, there's not really anywhere to go. So there is not much escaping of consequences of your actions. So with the haunted part of the game, whenever somebody dies, its spirit is going to get free within a few days, and then it can just wander the world and wreak its havoc. So different regions of the world deal with that in a lot of ways. In Duskvol, there's spirit bells that ring at the Bellwether Crematorium, basically whenever somebody dies, and that alerts the spirit wardens who will go to collect the body and destroy the spirit before it becomes a ghost. But obviously they don't get all of them. So the city is pretty haunted to the core. And it's just the supernatural is all around Duskvol. So that is the basics. Did anyone have any questions about that?
I just love that it's like a city powered by wailing, except instead of wailing, it's literal demons.
Yeah, literal massive demons that aren't described at all. They're horrifying.
Yeah, no, I'm really entertained by the fact that it's just there's a whole bunch of eldritch horror stuff happening, but that's outside. We're inside. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
I'm going to do a quick review of all the different playbooks, and then we could talk about who wants what. And then I think for character creation, instead of everyone just kind of making it, I think I'm going to slow it down so I can really talk about with heritage. What are these different places? Let's go over backgrounds and some of that other stuff.
I have that section of the book 3 times, and I still just can't grok which one is which, and I always mix them up when I'm talking about it. So it's super helpful. I really appreciate it.
I have read several times.
I was going to say, I'll admit I don't find all of the playbook names totally intuitive. I'm starting to remember which is which, but definitely not all of them.
Yeah, my prep for session 0 was, how can I make this as intuitive and accessible as possible? So I have as much information as I could possibly give, trying to assume, okay, what if somebody has never read this book? I got you.
Thank you.
So as a refresher, there is first the Cutter, who is good at winning fights with violence and intimidation. So this is the one if you want to get your way. The Hound is good at tracking things down and also long distance combat. So if you want to choose your battles, Hunter's a good one. The leech is pretty good at alchemy and wrecking stuff with sabotage. So this is more getting creative with weird tools. The lurk is good at sneaking around and breaking into places. So the slinky kind of rogue type. Slide is good at social situations and subterfuge. So if you like manipulating, deceiving people. Spider, which is one of the ones that we didn't have, good at masterminding maneuvers. So the spider's kind of more of like a support. So good at like assisting teammates in dealing with factions. And then the whisperer is the spooky playbook, good at magical stuff, dealing with ghosts. So this is all about meddling with arcane powers. So who's interested in what?
I think I'd like to stick with leech if everyone's all right with that.
Okay.
Sure.
If you do bring up leech, that's one of the ones that I think really helped with the item descriptions, because like bandolier of alchemicals, there's a long description in the book about it because you can choose between a lot of different items. So like if you pull down on that, I put in descriptions for all of those items, which I hope that makes that easier.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. This is why I did the playbook like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we have a leech.
I think I'm gonna stick with slide as well.
Okay.
I feel like there was maybe some discussion at our one shot of I feel as though Dex and Tess and I all gravitated toward the like big burly type, which I ended up playing in the one shot we did, but I definitely do not have to. So would either of you like a shot at the cutter, which to me is the only one that kind of obviously says big
I'm
burly.
good with any of them, honestly. I liked playing the Whisper for the one shot. Probably not going to do Whisper again, so if anyone wants it, that is open. But I'm also potentially looking at doing a Lurk as well. Or a Spider. So I don't have characters prep for any of them. I was just looking through and I was like, those are the like three that I'd be interested in, would be Lurk, Spider, or Cutter. But no strong preference, so.
I also have no strong preference. I'm not entirely sure I want to play the Whisper, just because I haven't looked in depth at that class quite yet. And T played it to perfection during the one shot, so not sure if I should do it. But other than that, I'm kind of okay with going for the Hound or the Cutter, so I'm going to be completely unhelpful here.
Decision making is hard.
Is there an app to allow people to virtually draw lots?
Well, we could roll dice and roll 20 and just see that. But I'm skimming the Spider playbook, which I don't really remember.
Yeah, that didn't come up in the one shot. So
yeah,
that was my second choice, but decided not to do that.
Yeah, I think I might. Elliot, the way you explained it as like the support playbook, I hadn't really cottoned on to that aspect of it, and now I'm kind of interested in that. So I think I might give up the Cutter and try out a Spider if nobody else wants to lay claim to it.
It's all yours.
Yeah, like Spider really goes into like support and also like I think like kind of being the negotiator, like when really dealing with a bunch of the factions.
Yeah. Tess, which did you say you were looking at?
Cutter, Spider, and Lurk. So you can have Spider if you want it.
Okay.
Yep. Spider is the one of the three, like that was like my least of the three. So.
Okay.
Dex, I'm probably gonna go Lurk then. Do you want Cutter?
Sounds good.
Cool. All yours.
Okay, so no Hound. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get rid of that one. Be gone, Hound. Okay, cool. So now things are less cluttered. So let's go step by step. I put in handouts, so there is the character creation. It's also, if you have like the sheets PDF open, it's the second one. So next is heritage. So I'm going to quickly go over and summarize like some of these, like all the heritages in this world. Do remember when you pick one, you get experience at the end of a session if you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. So like this is a thing that you can get experience for. And you can also be from like wherever in this world. But like if you are not from a Koros where Duskvol is, like, did you immigrate here? Has your family been local for a while? Like, how does that fit into your role in the city? So first is a Koros, which is where Duskvol is. There's also a map in the handouts of the Shattered Isles. So this is largest, most industrialized land in the Imperium, home to the capital city, as well as Duskvol. Pretty diverse conglomeration of cultures that all like grew up in close proximity to each other for centuries. So a bit like Europe. If you're interested more in like being a rootless wanderer, there's the Dagger Isles. So the people there grew up on ships and they travel a lot before they settle down, known as corsairs, merchants, and they live without lightning barriers. So they deal with the spirits in different ways. If you are interested in being like from a culture that's considered more like foreign from Duskvol, then there's Iruvia, which is like a rich and powerful desert kingdom, which is like far to the south. Another pretty diverse land, lots of varying cultures, similar to Old Persia, Egypt, and India. If you want to be from a place considered more like wild, there is Severos. So there's a few imperial settlements, but mostly they live in like nomadic horse tribes that are scattered. And they pretty much survive within the ruins of ancient arcane fortresses, which still repel spirits. So it is cool that there's different ways of dealing with this. If you want to be from like a particularly marginalized people, especially within Duskvol, there is Skavland. So it's an island kingdom, which is like just across the sea from Duskvol. And this is the last like kingdom to be brought under imperial rule. There was a 36-year unity war, and that just ended a couple years ago. It is very recent and fresh in people's memories. One of the whole factions is Skavlander refugees. They lost their homes. They're trying to get jobs. And so like they're here seeking new opportunities and are being met with a lot of resistance. And then finally, one of the ones that a bunch of people picked from last time was Chicheros, which is the weird one, kind of semi-mythical. It's not even on the map. You just see like a train track heading up to the north. So this is far away, like beyond the northern Void Sea, which is where all those ships go out to get the Leviathan electroplasm. And everyone says that the people there are part demon, which must be at least a little bit true, because like if you pick this, then you get to create a demonic telltale that marks your character. So those are the summaries for that.
Did anyone have any preferences for any of the locations ahead of time?
And also, like, this isn't like everybody has to pick a different one. You can pick the same one.
I might go Iruvia, largely because, like, Lurk plus Desert feels like I'd be living at my Gerudo fantasy, and I'm kind of here for it, so that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
I'm leaning a little bit toward Severosi, only because I'm interested in the fact that they don't use the lightning barriers, so I'm curious about, like, I like the idea of somebody whose family has maybe lived in Duskvol for a generation or two, but not that long, and has connections to a culture that is like very like doesn't think about the world in the same way.
Yeah, like literally all it says for Severos is they have like ruins of ancient arcane fortress that still repel spirits. And also that they have ghost hunting horses.
I was going to say, I see the phrase ghost hunting horses in here, which is very exciting, even though they probably will not come up in Duskvol.
Yeah, like there's no details to this. So like you can take that and run with it in different direction, like whatever direction you want.
Excellent.
It is up to your interpretation.
As someone who has a horse living in their backyard right now, I'm pretty sure most horses are ghost hunting. Like horses are kind of haunted.
They can at least definitely see ghosts.
100%.
I was thinking from being from Tikaros again, or going with like a mercenary bodyguard for a ship on the Dagger Isles before coming back to Akoros. So if either of those help with anyone else's backstory.
I'm thinking about being from Tikaros again, which I'm open to other options, but also I don't know if it would bother anybody to be doubled up in heritage.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have the same heritage, you can talk about, like, oh, do you know each other? Did you, like, grow up in the same area? Do you know each other's families?
I was debating pretty hardcore between Scotland and Akoros.
Yeah, which are very different.
I know. Well, it comes from a similar intention, I guess. I don't know. Like, I feel like I would like to be someone who is not an immigrant in the gameplay, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scotland would make a more fun backstory. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, that's the one that really feels like, I guess, like the foreignness and immigration the most hardcore from the other heritages, just because that war was so recent.
I think I will go with the Dagger Isles bodyguard route this time.
Okay, so everyone's from a different area, which I think is interesting, and we'll kind of bring up a later question of like, how did you all get together as a crew? So next is background. So the playbooks have like on the sheet, and I think like further in the book, there's examples like general categories. Oh yeah, it is like specifically on the sheet, some general categories like scholar, but feel free to get a bit more specific with that. Like if you pick noble, how the hell did you end up here in the underworld? If you pick labor, what kind of labor would you do?
There's sorry, I'm pulling up the book. There's a part of me that wants to pick academic and then be like former professor of there's this language that is like obscure and mostly not spoken except by Aruvians called Hadrathi. I kind of want to be like academic, former like Hadrathi poetry professor or something, you know, like
there is a whole university, like that is an option.
as has been pointed out, I'm perhaps parodying myself a little bit here.
The question is, could you, given a combat situation that proved useful for it, be able to quote some sick-ass Hadrathi poetry?
I mean, maybe I will be able to do that. I haven't looked at the special abilities yet, but maybe there's something in there.
Yeah. And I think that'll also like lean into a question if you go that route. How'd you go from studying poetry to the underworld?
Yes.
Which, like, you don't have to answer now. Like, some of these things, it could be like you have a general vague idea, but no details, and that will just come up and play.
I'll go with labor as the background. Sailor is included in there, and that kind of fits with what I'm going for so far.
Okay.
I think I'd like to do the trade background. I'm not sure how I got from there to here, but I think that being the leech, being a tinkerer is absolutely probably just what I was doing professionally, whether it was, I don't know, making stuff, and then now I make stuff, but for crime.
Mm-hmm. Play to find out what happens. Also,
You
like,
know?
maybe you'll figure it out, like, further in the character stuff. Like, I don't know, say, like, with friends and rivals being like, oh, this is the person that maybe lose everything.
Yeah. I'm also just fulfilling a fantasy of wanting to be a clockmaker, so...
I think I'm a noble, and I think I was a princess.
Oh.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I don't know how I got here yet.
Hell
I'll figure
yeah.
it out. But, yeah, I think I'm a princess. I mean, I know that I am a princess. I think the character is a princess.
If I was a PI, would I be in law or
Like a private investigator?
yeah?
So
that
there
would be
is...
law. Yeah, right.
In Lost, there is a whole faction for that. Because, like, the blue coats are kind of like the cops of Duskvol, but there is, where is it? There's the inspectors who are, like, criminal investigators, or criminal inspectors. And so, like, they have a particular reputation for ethics and integrity, which means that nobody likes them. As, like, they present the evidence for prosecutions. I'm sure there's also like options for like particular like private ones, but that is like the main like faction that is more general.
Right. I think it might be interesting if I was that and then I ended up with this crew.
That could be fun. Yeah, like all of the factions would sure like to be able to bribe them, so like nobody likes them. Okay, yeah, and like we could definitely get ask, like, come back to like more of these character details when we're done with like characters and crew to see if you've had any more ideas since then. Okay, so next step is special ability, which all of the descriptions are already there in the playbooks. If you go to like the main book, they have suggestions of different builds for like different ways to go with the playbooks, but you don't have to go off of those. They put the first one there as like a good default if you're unsure. So like if you really can't pick, the first one in any of the playbooks is a pretty solid option.
I know what I want to pick for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to pick Ghost Voice.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think just bodyguard fits with, again, what I'm doing here, so...
I'm trying to pick between the two, like, you still have social, you still have contacts in the real world choices for the spider. I think I'm going to go with the one that's called Weaving the Web.
Oh.
I'm going to take Ghost Fail.
Very enticed by all of these options that include Ghost.
Oh, I like Ghost Veil.
Yeah, it's a really fun one.
The spider has a very hardcore power called Ghost Contract, where if you shake hands with someone and agree to do something, you both get like marked, and if either of you breaks the contract, you get harmed by ghosts. I don't think that's quite right for this character I'm envisioning, but it's extremely metal.
I mean, like, considering like some of the other ghost routes people are going with their special abilities, like that might be one that like later you're just like, that actually might be a good advancement given the way this crew's going.
Yeah.
And then Whitney, what special ability are you looking at?
I'm going to take Venomous.
Ooh. Always a fun one. Yeah, I also noted on the Leech playbook, the crafting, like what page the crafting information is on. And in that section, there are also descriptions of, like further descriptions of not just the ones that I put for that particular item, but there's a bunch of different poisons, other materials. So it might be a cool thing to look over.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Okay, so next is friends and rivals. So there's like names off to the side on all these Roll20s, and I put the prompts that are in the book, which you obviously like don't have to go off of. They're just kind of like starting places, and then you can like erase it with the details about your person. So you choose one who is a good relationship, and then another one who is a rival or enemy. Which like feel free to go into at least a bit of detail. Like you don't have to do like a whole like character profile for them, just kind of like who are they to you, and that can come out more in play. And if you're stuck, we can always circle back after building the crew, and like I think we're gonna later talk about like factions and like what storylines and areas of the city people are interested in. So if you want to come back after people are like, oh, I really like going down this route, then that's fine. Do keep in mind, though, that for the engagement role, if your friend or like the crew contact can provide aid or insight, you get an extra die. But if your enemy or rival interferes, then you lose a die.
I would love to circle back to this once we do a little bit more character introduction for mine, at least, because like right now I was thinking about asking Dex if his character wanted to have been hired by my character as a bodyguard, which means I would love to have the same friend as Dex's character.
I was thinking the exact same thing when you said, I'm a princess.
I mean...
I was like, I know I've already guarded your ship at least once.
100%.
All of the friends are different per playbook, just as a heads up. But like, you could also totally like connect those two friends too.
Cool. I know I wasn't sure if you were allowed to like write in individual people or not. I know there's a space to do a write in at the bottom of it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could.
Cool.
Okay. So after friends and rivals is vice. So the playbook lists the different types. And then there's also a sheet that I put in the handouts that has vice purveyors. So you basically have like a particularly favorite place or person to go to indulge in your vice. When you pick it, do remember that you get experience at the end of a session if you are struggling with issues from your vice. And if you are unsure when you do indulge your vice during downtime, how that happens is you roll with your lowest attribute rating. So basically, it is your weakest quality that is the most enthralled to vice.
I think I'm going to have to go with gambling. I feel like that is...
I'm going luxury.
That fits.
No question.
I'm going with stupor.
Okay.
I think that I've tinkered with my own creations one too many times.
I think I'm gonna pick obligation.
Okay. What particular obligation? It's like some of the suggestions are like family, like with heritage or former coworkers from your background.
That, like, I'm thinking if if I was in law or possibly still am, like functioning as a double shift situation.
Okay. Yeah, because the other option is like, since you're from Scotland, like you could also have the obligation of family and other refugees.
Yeah, there are probably a lot of chores.
But also like that could be cool to tie into law of like trying to advocate for like more rights for your people.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm probably just gonna have like a pretty full schedule, like a day planner. So it's like, yeah, we can hit that heist, but let me check my schedule first.
I'm the most relatable character here. All right.
What do you mean a princess isn't relatable?
For those listening at home, there's been a lot of like fake hair tossing. I have enough hair to do a hair toss. I'm just pretending as if I don't. So,
Also, Nick, what vice were you looking at?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm leaning toward luxury as the vice for this character. Specifically, they I think, you know, there's some of all types of luxury in there, but specifically, I think clothes. There's a Dunridge and Sons tailoring listed in the vice purveyors that I liked the sound of.
Yeah, definitely put like the vice purveyor in the sheet too. And yeah, I think the next thing we have is obviously name, alias, and look. What do you look like? What are you called?
My character is going to be named Gabe. He goes by he, him pronouns. He's heavily bearded, big beefy boy, brown skin, green eyes? Question mark? There we go.
So just Gabe. That's it.
Just Gabe. He's not a smart boy.
Excellent.
My name's Gabe. I'm a bit big, but I got a heart of gold, and I will protect you wherever you go. I'll work on that. I'm not sure if that's the voice I'm gonna go for.
That's a powerful start, though. I'll be playing Wick. Their pronouns will be they, them. In terms of description, Tikarosi descent means they're a little unsettling to look at. Wick is pale with a complexion that is waxy, that is waxy in a candle sort of sense, with ginger hair, and Wick is going to have actually their right arm, from just below the shoulder down is going to be a Sparkcraft prosthetic arm.
Hell yeah.
And I actually have a drawing of Wick. I did not prepare a prop, but I did prepare art, so I can drop that in the chat.
Oh yeah, we love a sparkly candle friend.
Everyone here is really upping the ante on character preparation.
I'm going to continue with Ellery Crow, which is also her alias, because is that actually her name? We don't know. She's gonna be a pretty good master of disguise. So we're not really sure what she looks exactly like. Wait, what is Scotland heritage people supposed to look like?
I have that. Generally pale-skinned and with like fair or red hair is what they say. Kind of based on like Northern Europe, think like Norway, Sweden, Finland.
That checks out. I do love a cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna stick to what I just said.
Okay. Is there like a tell, I guess, like a particular like feature that does like carry through with each of these disguises?
Little flavor. Let's say her nose is a little crooked.
Okay.
And she's got a weird shaped scar.
Okay.
On her shoulder, and she walks with a limp / is that real? I will write that better. I'm a better writer than a speaker, I promise. And here I am on a podcast, listeners.
All right. I am going to be Princess Mirena Alonda Gracielle Valerio of the Grayfire line. She's very tan, has dark eyes, nearly black hair, and she does have a gray and orange streak that kind of runs like right eye back. And that's a familial thing. Everyone in her family has a gray and orange streak from like temple running backwards. She's curvy and often wears very elegant clothing, jewels, etc. And that's Mirena there.
I like how it just says Mirena, see below, and then have all that in the notes.
Yeah, that name is really long, so I'm gonna call you Marmar. I hope that's okay.
I'm sure all that jewelry and ornamentation like won't be at all a problem if you need to be sneaky at all.
I don't think she cares much. I think she's gonna be a problem. Remember how in the one shot I was like, remember how I'm gonna be not chaotic in this one? I lied.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I figured. I know you, Tess.
I'm not surprised, but I think for the spider, I've settled on the name Milos Jeduin. He's alias Needle, and I think he's a like lanky, kind of tall, skinny guy. Very good looking, and of course impeccable clothing all the time. That seems far above his station. And I think he has kind of long hair that's braided or pulled back behind him.
There's a lot of fancy people here.
Yeah, I mean, we have a princess.
Dungeons and Drama Nerds is produced by Todd Backus, Percival Hornak, and Nicholas Orvis, and it's mixed and edited by Anthony Sertel Dean. Our Blades in the Dark campaign features Elliot Peterson as GM, TP Huth as Princess Mirena Alonda Gracielle Valerio of the Grayfire line, Whitney Lehn Meltz as Wick, Nicholas Orvis as Milos Jeduin, Phan as Gabe, and Ren Shah as Ellery Crow. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DN Drama Nerds. Check out cast bios on our website, dungeonsanddramanerds.com, and tune in next week for another episode of Dungeons and Drama Nerds.